Hello, it is Friday, February 12th, 2021. Let me get everything sort of set up here. I do have to reload Unity because it is, fortunately that pre-stream animation is a Unity thing, and I have not created an application for it yet, which I should do, but I have not done, which I will do probably by next stream because we're not streaming tomorrow. But yeah. It is... There we go. Okay. So, between streams, I have gone and updated, or worked on these little planets here. They basically spin now. Oh, my camera is not active. I don't like that. There we go. Now it's active. And it looks like the lighting is roughly correct. Yeah, I did not have a chance to configure it before the stream, but yeah. The lighting is good. Okay. Yeah, the planets themselves, if we look at them here, they spin, and the clouds actually spin at a slightly different speed than the rest of the planet, though it's hard to see. But that is definitely a thing. They also spin on an axis. They're not 100% straight. No, let's not do that. If we look at the local axis here, we can see it has a 7-degree tilt along the x. I don't know, I just did it because it's there. Probably impossible to see, but you know, it's still there. So, what are we going to be, or what are we working on actually? I think is the question that, I don't know why we started like that. Yeah, this is going to be a wave-based, interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a wave-based game, where these are our little spaceships. If we click on one, you can see we can select it. We can give it movement orders with the right click. These will be asteroids. This is how you will get materials and things. Planets will basically allow you to train spaceships. Right now, each planet just spawns all of its spaceships just for testing purposes, just to make sure that that works, which it does. And so yeah, enemies will spawn from the outside, and you'll have to move your spaceships around and coordinate sort of a defense. They will move from planet to planet, trying to destroy them. So yeah, that is how our game will work, and this is our progress so far. We can basically select things, and we can give orders to spaceships. If one of these is an enemy ship, it will actually, right-clicking on it will actually give attack orders. Right now it doesn't. Right now I'm not entirely sure. Okay, yeah, it does nothing. That's what I thought. Okay. So yeah, we have our next wave timer here that's not working. We have our two resource icons. It's going to be materials and technology. You can see those are populated at the beginning of the game. If we go look at the UI right now, wherever that might be, nope, don't care. You can see that it starts out with 999. Right now, I think the game manager just does a thing where it populates it really quick. But that's one of the things that we need to work on today. So I have some icons that I downloaded between streams. They're from freeicons.net or something. I can't remember. It's the popular one. Everybody knows it. And then I have some stat icons as well that we're going to need to use. We need these to be sprites/UI, and I think 512 is the appropriate pixels. Let's see, are these set right? Yeah, these are set right. Okay. So yeah, the first thing I think we want to do is we want to get the icons populating here correctly. So I think we have a resource counter script in the UI. That's how that worked. Yeah, for materials and technology, what is it? It's the prefab, and we want to select the asset. Yeah, it's the resource counter asset. Resource counter prefab, I should say. And then it is the resource counter component. So if there's no edit button. Oh, there was an edit button. All right. All right. Click edit. It will open Visual Studio for us. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to, or well, I know what we're going to do. We're going to create a. We're going to have to edit this initialize method. So this initialize method, if I recall correctly, whoops, nope. If I recall correctly, if we find references, which I forgot how to do in Visual Studio, find our really? Shift F12? Really? Really? Couldn't just make it like Control R or something? Or Shift R or something? That's weird. Whatever. Oh, I know where it's referenced. Is Control Shift T a thing? Go to filters. Game manager. Yeah, okay. Control-Shift-T is a thing. Oh, I love that. I don't like that. I like the Eclipse. This is something I never thought I'd say, but I actually like the Eclipse search a lot better. The Eclipse search will actually give you like a window telling you all the types that match that substring. What is this? That's weird. Get better, Visual Studio, geez. Anyway, I know that it's called initialize. It's not called in Game Manager, but it's called in here. Yeah. So the initialize method is called in here. So instead of the key, or instead of the word materials, we need to pass in, I think, a resource definition, which I need to actually create. So we're going to create a new item. It's going to be a C# mono behavior, but it's really not. I'm going to call it a resource definition. Yeah, resource definition. And at some point we'll have a stat definition as well. So this will be scriptable object because we want to be able to create instances of these. We don't want to attach this to a mono behavior. We want to create it as like a standalone type thing. Then we're going to use the attribute create asset menu. And then we're going to say, I think it's data/resource definition. I think, oh no, it's menu name. Menu name, yeah. So if you're not familiar with this, this is called an attribute in C#. I'm not going to go over it because it's a bit complicated. Long story short is that Unity recognizes it. So yeah, it's created like this. So we have definition/resource node. So what this will do is in the asset menu, it will create a little section called definition, and then it'll create a subsection called resource node. So in our case, it'll be definition. Resource definition, which I'll just say definition/resource. Yeah. So to show that off really quickly, we keep all of our scriptable objects in the data folder. Yes. So if I right click here, we get a create method or a create menu. Looks like I misspelled definition, but you can see it creates the misspelled version. And oh, I misspelled it everywhere else. Oh wow, okay. So the correct spelling is here, and it creates this resource thing. Or resource option. So I need to fix that. Wait. Oh, what definition? Yeah, I apparently can't spell, or I couldn't spell whenever I was creating this. I don't think that disrupts anything because this should just be. No, this is a string. This shouldn't disrupt anything. Yeah, so the resource definition is going to have probably a name. Each one's going to have a name, be public string name, be a public, we need a description as well. That's for like a tooltip or something. And then a public, what's it called? Image, which will be the icon. So we're going to use Unity engine.ui, I believe is where images come from. Or no, it's not an image, sorry, it's a sprite. And you don't need UI for that. Yeah, icon, cool. So yeah, this will allow us to create the resource definition stuff. So in it's the HUD, it's the resource counter component. We need to pass in, instead of a string, we need to pass in the resource definition, call this the resource. So this is whatever resource this is bound to. So the amount is going to still be 0, but the actual image for it, so we're going to create a public, and now we need the image from the UI. No, not image conversion, image, which we don't have Unity engine.ui quite yet. Let's grab that. This will be the icon. So yeah, it'll have an icon and an amount. So the icon will be equal to resource.icon. So yeah, that should work. Icon.sprite, no. It's icon.sprite, right? Yeah, icon.sprite, okay. So that will work. Now something else will break. Wherever it is called will break, which was in the HUD manager component. Yeah, it'll break here. Okay, So what we need to do is we need to, how are we going to do this? We'll probably put it in the game constants. No, probably put it in the. I kind of want it to be in the game constants, but this doesn't really give us a way to load scriptable objects. I mean, I guess it could, right? But I don't really want to do that. Well, no, we could do public read-only. Resource definition could be equal to, I think you can do resources.load. Resources.load is a thing. Maybe I'm wrong? Or is it resource? No, it's resources. Actually, let's find out. Resources load. Oh, it has to be in like, right, I remember now. It has to be assets, resources, right, so it has to be in resources there. Which should in theory be fine. But we'd have to know the name of it. I guess that's fine. So we should be able to do load. I don't know why it doesn't like that. Oh yeah, because we need to type. Oh wait, we need a name for it, right? This will be materials. Materials. This will be resources.load. The path will be. Do we need to say assets, resources? I don't think we do, right? We need to say. So this is text / that. Okay. So this needs to be. Oh, I don't know if you can have a nested resources folder. Well, let's try it. So say resources, materials. Say res. No, say materials. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So this loads a text asset. What we want to do is we want to load a resource definition. I think that'll work. And then we'll say technology, just because I want these to be constants. So yeah, say that. And the HUD manager will initialize with game constants.instance.materials and game constants.instance.technology. In theory, that should work, right? Am I crazy? What we need to do is, instead of keeping this in data, then we need to keep this in a resources folder. Say resources. And I don't know if we're allowed to have a nested resources folder, but let's find out. And then this is going to, rather than being in data, oh, okay, I deleted it, good. This will be in resources, this will be the definition of a resource, this will be materials, and it will be called materials, and we won't bother giving it a description quite yet. And then we will duplicate that, turn it into technology, call it technology, and then we will give it the circuit icon here. And now I believe that might work. Nope, okay. Let's see. So it doesn't have, oh no, that didn't work because we have not updated the prefab. So the resource counter prefab here does not have, it doesn't reference this image quite yet, and the icon just needs to go there. All right. Does that work? Oh my god, that works. I did not expect that to happen. That's, wow, okay, first try. I'm very happy with that. It appears that you can have nested resources, or nested resource folders. So that's good. So now we can reference that as a constant, so we can reference it all over the place, and it'll have the same value, which I like. Okay. So the next thing we need to do, I was not expecting that to work so flawlessly. The next thing we need to do, let us figure that part out. So we do need to fix the UI so that it works correctly. By that I mean we have like this placeholder sort of planet UI. For the stellar objects, it's actually done. We just give a description of what it is. The ships we need to fix, and then the asteroid or resource nodes we need to fix. So I think for resource nodes, let me go, where was it? It is, it's here, right. When Inkscape loads, we can see it. See, yeah, okay. So for the planet, we want to have the 3 tabs there. For the ship, for the asteroids, we want to have just a list of things that it has in it. So we can do that. Checking my screen a little bit. It looks like, okay, 99% fine. That's good. Make sure that number doesn't go up. Okay. So yeah, the asteroids, we need to just show a list of the material or the resources inside of it. So the resource, that's going to be in the resource node component, and I think in the resource node definition itself, yeah. So in the definition, we need to change this to have the have a reference to the resource. So in our case, we will go into here. This is it's in our scriptable objects, in our data thing here. So it's not the resource definition, but it's the resource node definition. And so this is the resource name. We actually need to change this to be a resource definition, and we'll just say resource. Okay. And now this will break the UI, I think. No, I know it'll break the UI. For the HUD, it'll be the details, be the resource node details. It will not be this. It will be the details panel component, because we have our double dispatch here. So this will actually be definition.resource.name. And actually, I don't want this anymore. So it will be resource.definition.name. Resource.definition.name. So yeah, we did this yesterday. It uses double dispatch stuff. It's really neat. If you're not familiar with how that works, I would highly recommend going and looking it up. Going and looking at it, it's kind of cool. But yeah, that's what we do here. Yeah, okay. So now what we need to do is in the resource node definition or resource node details component, what we want is, let's see, for the stellar object details, we have a show details. So we definitely want that. This will be a show details for a resource node, or a resource node definition. Call this node. Alright. We will have, what we want to do is we want to have a list of resources that are in that node. It shouldn't ever be the case that you can have multiple, but in the case that we do want to have multiple, well, actually we can't test it anyway, so we'll just have one. I have convinced myself to not bother with that. So this will be a resource counter component that we want to put into the details panel. So we'll go in, we will activate the details panel here. We'll go up to here, and then open this, and make sure we're in ISO. We will turn this on. This is the resource details. This is for the resource nodes. We want to add a counter component, which we have here. I want to add that in here. We want to zero out its position here, and we want to put it here. And actually, No, I'm actually cool with that. Yeah, that can just sit there like that. Okay, that'll work. And yeah, it's just the resource counter. So in the resource details or resource node details component, we can just have a public resource counter component. Say resource. I would say counter. Now we can say counter.initialize with the node.resource. And now the counter will have an amount of 0. Now we say counter.set amount to node.amount, I believe, current, or is it? Oh no, it's not node definition. It's the resource counter, oh no. It's the resource node component. Yeah, because the component has the appropriate definition, or the appropriate amount, resource.definition.resource. Or sorry, node.definition.resource, and then it'll say node.amount. Yeah. So now on the show details, this will populate the counter with the appropriate resource. So now all we need to do is hook this up in here, put that in there, and then here we need to put this in here. And actually, I think we need to call that in the details panel. Yes. So in here, we need to say resource node component, we need to say it's the resource, I think, details, or resource node details dot set details as the resource here. Yeah. I'm pretty certain that will work. So now what we need to do is we need to disable these, and then we can run this. And what we should get is if this, did I hook up the asteroids right? I did not, okay. So the asteroids need to be fixed. Oh, sorry, not the asteroids, their definition needs to be fixed, right? So asteroids here, that needs to reference the materials. Yeah, so now if we click on this, what we get is we get asteroids, and it shows that it has 750 materials. So what we need to also do is we need to enable this, we need to enable this, and we need to remove the label. Here, yeah, we can just delete that. All right, that's good. I like that. And then we can disable you, and we can disable you. Okay. And now what we should be able to do is we should be able to click on the asteroids, and then we will get that they give us, yeah, called asteroids, and they give us 750 materials, or they have 750 materials in them. So to show a different version of that, what we can do is we can actually unpack this. We can create another, oh god, what is it? Gotta think. Okay, so prefab, unpack completely. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I want to repack that. Repack, yeah, there we go. Duplicate it. Can move it a little bit over here, which I think I'm doing right. No, I want to move it up here, yeah. We want to increase the speed back to 1, yep, okay. Now this one we can unpack. Hit F2, I guess we'll call this like tech scrap or something. We'll just make this like a destroyed ship or something, I don't know. That's what we'll call it. We'll delete this, or actually I don't want to delete it quite yet, because I want to know where the center is. So I want to create a cube, make it a very tiny cube, because we don't need it to be that big. Oops, let us zoom in on this, yeah, there we go. Now for this, we can remove the box collider, and I'm just going to make it, oh god, I have to turn this to 3D, because that's how I think is in 3D. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll just make this kind of like, look like some kind of wreckage, I don't know. That's what I'm going for in my head. I don't know if it'll actually turn out that way. Okay, we'll do that. Then we'll have this. tilt it that way and have it be more square. And we'll duplicate it, and have the smaller version over here. And now we can get rid of all the different parts here. We can delete this. And yeah, we'll just have some random pieces kind of strewn about. That'll be like some kind of technology scrap, I don't know. A long destroyed shipwreck or something. I don't know, sure, that's what it'll be. Yeah, that'll work. And we'll call all of these part. Should potentially give them some kind of different coloring. Where are the materials? They're in temporary. We will just duplicate this. Brown. Nope, that's not how you spell that. This brown. And then some kind of brownish color. Sure, that'll work. Then turn it to be completely not smooth, but very metallic. I don't think it'll actually matter at all, but I don't know. Sure, there we go. And then what we will need to do is we will need to, in the resource nodes, we will actually need to duplicate this, create a tech scrap resource node. We'll call this tech scrap. And then the resource that we want this to give is technology. And then maybe the default amount here is, I don't know, 100. Because technology is going to be far more rare. Well, actually, it's not really. Just put it 250. Sure, that'll work. And then I want to make this a prefab. It's not in prefabs UI, it's just in prefab. All right, put this in prefabs here. Okay. So now, whenever I click on these, I should get two different results. I should get asteroids for one, and I should get tech scrap for the other. So let's check. All right, so get asteroids, that's correct. It has 750 materials, and then we click here. That is linked to materials for some reason, and it's also called asteroids. Why is that? Oh, because I didn't relink it, that's why. Should totally do that. I should make this the resource node. There we go. Now it should work. So yeah, as you can see, this links to asteroids, 750 materials. This links to tech scrap, 250 technology. There we go. Okay. So the next thing we probably want to do is get the ship stuff working, or the ship UI working. So for that, I wanted to create, we'll fix the icons a bit later, not right now. So for the ship, I wanted it to show some stats. For the ship, I wanted it to show some stats. So like speed, armor, like weapon damage, stuff like that. The camera is getting a bit weird. Let me fix that. I lower you. Nope. You will not take that. I lower that. No. I lower that. No, if I increase that, then I lower that. Nope. 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 Okay. Nope, that's just getting worse, isn't it? Lower that. Alright. It's not much better, but it'll have to do. So we'll have a ship thing. We want to have like a health bar for the hull. Do we? Do we actually want to have that? I don't think we do. I'm going to change that. No, because the health bar will appear underneath the ship itself. There's no reason to have a secondary health bar there. People can do the math themselves. So this will be a different kind of resource counter, though. This will be a like percentage-based resource counter. Well, it won't be a resource counter. It'll be a stat counter. Yeah, it'll be a stat counter. And there'll be multiple versions of it. Yeah, okay. So I guess the first thing we want to do is create our little stat counter thing, which will be based on the resource counter. So in the details panel, we want to go there, we would like to center on that. Go here. All right. And so in the, will be the ship details. Right here, we will want to create, we want to remove this label. We want to add a, let's call it a, I guess, vertical layout group. Yeah, it'll be like a list. Actually, no, what we want to do is we don't want that there. We want an empty here. We'll call this like stats or something. Yeah. And we want that to basically fill this up for now. I think we're going to have some buttons on this later, and that will have the vertical layout component. Yeah, vertical layout group. Okay. And now inside that, we want to create an empty, and we want to force child expand for width. Control child size, force child size, expand for width, and then I guess use the child. No, we don't want to do that. So now we have this expanded for width, and we'll say, I don't know, 30 will be, 40 will be the height. And we want to grab our UI prefab here. We want to put a resource counter in here for now, wherever that might be. It's right there. Okay. We're going to grab that. We're actually going to unpack this, and I'm going to move this over a little bit. We're going to unpack this, unpack it completely. Going to move the icon and the amount up here. So the icon will be here to the left, and then the amount will be over to the right. Whoops. The amount will be over to the right. Yes. Okay. And I think eventually this is going to be 999 of 9999 of 9999. Okay. So we'll have two different kinds of stats. We'll call this the stat counter. And yeah, we're going to have two different types of stats, one of which will be like a percentage, or not a percentage, but like a, x of y. So the health will be like, 100 of 200 or something. And then we'll have like flat sort of stats that don't have a max. I mean, I guess all of them will have a max, technically speaking, which I think would be a good idea. But for now, well, some of them are going to show the max, but not all of them will. So what we want to do is we want to create a new C# script. Instead of a resource counter component, it's going to be a stat counter component. So we're going to say Control-C, Control-V in here. We're going to rename this to stat counter component. That's not how you spell component. That is. Going to F2 to grab the name, and it will have an icon and it will have an amount, but we need a stat definition. So we'll create a new C# script in here, or new model behavior. We will call this a stat definition. And we will get rid of all this because we're not going to use it. We're not going to use that. This will be a scriptable object. Then we'll add the create asset menu attribute. It'll be the menu name. It's going to be equal to definition spelled correctly /stat. And then we'll have a public string name and a public string or public sprite icon. And then probably a description as well. A public string description. So yeah, we will do that. And then instead of a resource definition, we will have a stat definition here. This will be the stat. And so now in stat, I believe what we will do is we'll say we'll have a maximum, public int maximum. We have a public bool show maximum. So every stat should have a maximum, but only some of them should show the maximum. So what we will say is the icon.sprite is equal to the stat.icon. And then the amount, we will say set amount, call this set amount. We'll say set it to 0 first. Or actually the initialize, yeah, no, that's fine actually. So what we'll say is the amount is equal to a formatted version of the amount, but we're actually not going to do that. we're going to say it's either equal to a formatted version of the amount, or it's going to be equal to the amount over max. So for those of you who are not familiar, the $sign is called, and it is, I don't know what it's actually called, but what it does is it causes this string to be interpolated. So now this amount will be replaced, this will be replaced in the string with this amount variable. So the amount is going to be, or the maximum, so we're going to show the maximum slash the amount. So we're going to use, oh, we actually don't store the stat. So we'll just have to say protected stat definition, and let's say stat. Let's say stat dot maximum. And this is not going to compile quite yet, but I'll fix that in a minute. So we will say the stat that we have, this dot stat, stat is equal to stat. Then we'll use this dot stat dot icon. It's better practice to reference the local variable rather than reference this one. So we will do, in this case, what we want to do is we'll say if we have a stat, then we want to actually use the stat itself. Otherwise, we don't. So this Unity objects can be implicitly converted to null. So we'll return here, and then otherwise we will do amount dot text is equal to string plus amount. Or no, just do the interpolation, because why not? Actually, wait, I can do amount.toString, right? Yeah, okay, we'll just do amount.toString. That's much better. Yeah, that communicates intent a lot better. All right, and so now this is going to be a ternary operator. So we'll say dot stat dot show maximum, and then we want to reverse the conditionals. So if you're not familiar with ternary operators, it's basically like a condensed version of an if statement. And I like to write them like this so that it makes more sense. So basically what it says is, so the text is going to be equal to one of two things. The question mark signifies this is a ternary. So it'll check show maximum. If show maximum is true, it'll do the first part before the semicolon, or sorry, before the colon, which is if we want to show the maximum, then we want to show the amount divided by the maximum. Otherwise, if show maximum is false, we do the second part, which is to just show the amount itself. Actually, I'm not going to do it, but we could actually avoid the ternary. The advantage of a ternary over an if statement, yeah, the advantage of a ternary, well, actually, I don't want to do that. Yeah, the advantage of a ternary over an if statement is that a ternary is guaranteed to return a value. An if statement doesn't really return. An if statement is more of a control statement. But yeah, that's the main difference. And that's why I like to use ternaries, is that they are more expressive. And it's just like expressive code is just generally better. Oh, we have to, no we don't. I was going to say we have to show the name, but no we don't. Do we want to show the name of the stat? Or do we want to make people, yeah, we want to show the name of the stat because, I don't know, games that make you memorize all of the stat icons just piss me off. Just generally, as a rule. So we'll say 20 will be the HUD scale here. And then we're going to set a thing here. I'm going to have this be the label. That will be over here. It's going to be left aligned, and we will say stat. Yeah. So we'll just give people the name and the icon so they can use whichever one they prefer. So yeah, what we'll say is we'll have a public TMP text. This will be the stat, or sorry, this will be the name. We'll say name dot text is equal to stat dot name. Okay. So yeah, set amount. Okay. So So that should work. We just need to add the stat counter component here and say the icon is that, the label or the name is that, and the amount is that. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to turn this into a prefab and then we want to remove it. Actually, we should add multiple and just make sure that these work right. Ah, that's what I was afraid of. They don't. Right, because it's not a vertical layout group. It's not upper left, it's upper center. It's not a vertical layout group. I'm wrong. It's a grid layout group. Yeah, a grid layout group. There we go. So start corners upper left. That's fine. Start axis can be vertical. The constraint is a fixed column count, and it's going to be 1 column. And then the child size is going to be the width of this component itself, which I don't think you can do here. This is the upper center, right? Then the Y value is going to be the size of the children, which is going to be, stat counter is not a height of 100. Y, oh yeah, okay, I know. So it doesn't really matter what the width is, it only matters what the height is. So I think we said 40? Yeah, alright, that's fine. And then for padding, I think, well actually, I can have the padding inside of this. Just say the stat and the label just go over a little bit. And that should create padding, yeah, okay, perfect. I mean, it's not entirely perfect, but it'll work, and so just adding new stats does that. Again, the actual size of the stat, not really important. So yeah, that appears to work, so good. Now we just need to generate that dynamically. We also need to create some stats, and so that's going to be in the resources folder. It's going to be resources, stats. Create a folder, stats. Then we will create a definition, a stat definition. We will call one the hull values. This is for the ship. Have the hull, the weapons, or sorry, hull, damage, speed, and range. Yeah, say damage, speed, and say range. We'll call this hull, and we don't need to fill out the description yet. The value is going to be this heart. The maximum is going to be 9999. Well, in our case, oh, actually, it'll have a local maximum. Whoops. Yeah, it'll have a local maximum. What am I doing? Why am I putting a maximum on the stat itself? Crazy. Actually, no, we can just call a different version of, yeah, we can just call a different overload of this. What am I doing? No, don't even. Say public void set amount, int amount, int max. I like that better. Yeah, that'll be better. Alright, forget everything I just did there. So we don't need to store the stat, that's not important. We don't need to store that. Get rid of this here. We can just say stat.net, yeah, okay, that'll work. Now we can say amount.text is equal to, we can say an interpolated amount. We can use our string interpolation. We can say amount over maximum. Yeah, I like this better. Okay, that'll work. Will that work? Actually, then we can't generate it dynamically. I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So yeah, the hull, that's fine. The damage, I'll say damage here. The icon will be that. The range, call this range. Icon will be the sensor thingy. And the speed. And the icon will be this thingy. Alright. Now what we need to do is we need to go into the ship details. It's in the ship details component, yeah. We'll have a public, this will be a rect transform. This will be the stat holder. So this will be the list, and we need this so that we can clear out. No, we need this so that we can set the parent correctly. And so what we'll do is we'll have a public void clear stats, which is something we'll need to do at some point. Then we'll have a private, have a public void set details. This will be a ship component. This will be ship. Then we will have a public void set stats. No, we won't. We will public void create. Or we have a protected. No, public void. I guess create stat. And this will be the stat definition. This will be the stat, and this will be int amount. And then we will have a, I guess, int max. I don't know how we're going to store the max. We'll figure that out in a minute. But for clear stats, I know what we're going to do. We're going to say for each transform child in stat holder. So in Unity, if you iterate over, oh hey, how's it going? For me, it's actually going pretty well. Yeah, I'm just sorry, caught off guard. I'm trying to think. I've never asked actually. How do you pronounce your name? Because I don't know how you pronounce that. Apologies. But for each, whenever you iterate over a transform in Unity, you get a list of children back, a list of child transforms back. And so for each one of those, we're going to want to destroy the child.gameObject. And so this will just clear out the stats for us. And yeah. Oh, me neither. W Gaffa, okay. So I'll pronounce it then. I'll just call you W because that's easier. So yeah, I'm doing well. How are you doing? Create a stat. Then, so I think in the past, I think the way that I did this originally is that I had the ships return a list of their own stats. Do you know anything about squeezing every last byte out of a Unity project? Every last byte. Oh, thank you. Define null zero. Thank you. Define null zero. Trying to think that is that a C sort of thing? Actually, okay, yeah. Define null zero. That would make sense. You could use the word null as a literal. How do you squeeze every last byte out of a Unity project? I don't know what you mean by squeeze every last byte. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what do you mean by squeeze every last byte? Do you mean how do you minimize the size, or do you mean how do you squeeze every last byte? Like make it as fast as possible, like optimize it? Get it as fast as possible for Unity. I apologize. I'm actually not familiar with how to make like how to optimize WebGL and stuff. I know that people do choose Unity because it can be optimized a little bit more than something like Unreal. From what I've heard, Unity projects, you can strip a lot out of them and they can just be like minimized completely. But as far as like making them render as fast as possible, it's probably a third. You have to see where I'm at right now. Unfortunately, I can't because I'm doing this. But if you want to send like a link, I can take a look at it. But not right now. I'm actually doing this, and this is going to be like recorded or put up on YouTube, so I don't want to distract from what I'm doing so much. Speed is decent, but I need faster. Yeah, you could ask that question on Stack Overflow, actually. That's probably a better place to ask, because then, I don't know, someone like John Skeet will probably answer and tell you how to optimize it down to like the bytecode or something. There might also be some stuff on Stack Overflow about how to optimize it. Well, to be fair, are there any good Stack Overflow questions? I mean, of course it'll be marked as a duplicate. Someone has probably asked. Yeah, exactly. You'll get banned. This question is too opinionated. This has already been answered in how do you optimize Unreal for rendering on a Raspberry Pi? I can already imagine. Yeah, I know. Ugh. I've seen some pretty bad stuff. But I mean, that's unfortunately I don't know too much about optimizing for WebGL. I try to avoid the web, unfortunately, just because I've done some stuff. Yeah, that's my question is micro optimized. Yeah, you'd have to ask, how do I, you know, I'm gonna get the yeah. Have to ask like, in February of 2021, how do I, currently what is the most optimal, what is the way to reduce the number of render calls on WebGL, on Firefox, running on Windows. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you provide the code and they're like, we don't want to read the entire project, just the relevant parts. It's like, okay, well, I can't really, reduce this to a single line thing. Yeah, I know. Stack Overflow is pretty bad. I wonder, doesn't Unity have like a forum? Isn't there a Unity forums thing? It's probably useless, but let's see if they actually have it. Okay, they do. So Unity does have a forum. You might be able to find some information here. Isn't there a WebGL thing? Yeah. Yeah, I think if you wanted to optimize it, I think there are ways to edit the pipeline using a pirating tool. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. Using the free version. Yeah. There is... Oh, isn't there a WebGL forum? There's a graphics forum, but that's not useful. Import formats, external tools, runtime asset management, audio and video. Really? There's no... Yeah. Yeah, Unity is not... there are some issues with Unity, but yeah. I mean, I think if you want something that's like super optimal, I think you'd have to use Unreal. But then the problem with Unreal is that Unreal is like, you know, the the problem with Unreal is that it's too big. Like the actual binary sizes are too big. And from what I've heard, you can't really strip them out. You can't really do anything with them. Yeah, it's Unreal. Unreal graphics, Unreal performance speed, but also Unreal system requirements and Unreal binary sizes. So, okay, for creating stats, I want a public stat counter component, say a stat counter prefab. Yeah, I would try to either ask, like either find a Stack Overflow question that's similar to what you want, or try to word it in such a way that the mods won't ban you immediately, or look at the Unity forums. You might find something there. But yeah, I unfortunately have not worked with the WebGL stuff in Unity. Yeah, okay. So stat counter prefab, and then so for creating a stat, question is, how do we determine if it has a maximum? That's the... I guess it could be in the return format, in whatever the ship returns. So we'll have to create a return format then. I guess that'll be fine. I think it can be a struct, actually. So we're going to create a stat for stat definition. No, it's going to be... Sure, I guess we'll put this in ship component. Should we put it in ship component? No, it should be its own thing, right? It should be outside of components, not constants, not data. Just put it somewhere out here. Be a new thing, it'll be... Sure, we'll call it a mono behavior, but it won't be. be like a stat information, I guess. Sure, that'll work. This will be a struct. Get rid of this. We don't need Unity Engine actually. Here we will have the public stat definition. Call this stat. We'll have a public int amount. Then we'll have amount. A public nullable int maximum. So if the maximum is null, then it doesn't have one, and that should be fine. So on the ship component itself, we probably want a public thing that returns a list. Nope. We want to use using Unity, no, not Unity, system.collections.generic. So we want to return a list of stat information. So this will be all the stats on the ship, and we'll have it, just call it get stats or something. And I'll fix that later, we'll make that compile. So this will be stat, or no, just create stat, and this will be for stat information. No. Stat information. No, just stat. Yeah, that'll work. We'll call it information. Because the stat information already has a stat inside of it. So for this, what we want to do is we want to say var stat counter is equal to instantiate the stat counter prefab, game object. I think, actually no, that's fine, because it has to have a game object anyway. And then the parent is going to be the stat holder, and the stat counter dot game object, or no, not dot game object, dot transform dot local scale is equal to vector3.1. So if you use instantiate this way, you can get some funny rescaling, and I don't know exactly how that works, but I know that this will fix it. And so what we will say is stat counter dot I think initialize, yeah, initialize with the information dot stat, and then we do stat counter dot set amount. Well, actually, we need ternary. We need to say information dot. No, we don't. We don't need ternary. We need to say if information dot maximum not equals null, or if it does equal null, or yeah, not equals null. If it's present, then what we want to do is we want to use the overload with the maximum. So we want to say information dot amount information dot maximum. So if it has a maximum, we want to show the maximum. If it doesn't, else. Oh, because we can't. Right, because we can't pass this in. Okay, well, fine. Just use a bool then. Sure. So I'm not going to do the casting. Wait, why is that valid? Oh, that's real weird. Why is this valid? In Java, this is not valid syntax. Why is this valid syntax here? Because int could never be converted to null, so these are just inconvertible, like these are non-comparable types. Oh, that's so weird. That's such a weird, that's weird. Yeah, so W, I know, like, I know that, so the thing is, like, I know that you could do, like, maximum.value, or no, oh, wait, maximum.value, is that a, oh, for nullable ints, is that a thing? Am I wrong? Is that a thing? Gotta do maximum dot, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that converts it. Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know about that. Oh, that's cool. Little C# things I didn't know about. I should have tried that. Yeah, the other thing that's tripping me up is that you can convert between. Is that this is an int. This should not be comparable to null. That's really weird. C# is weird. Like it's weird to me that that's only a warning. That should be a that should just simply be an error. Because you could never, this could never have meaning. Like it doesn't, it's an insane proposition. It could never mean anything. That's so weird. Yeah, you're right. Maximum dot value, that works. That's better. But I'm glad that it warns you about that. That's probably a good idea. C# nullable type. I didn't realize that nullable types had their own sort of values. Let's see here. Nullable type value, yep, C# language specification. What does it actually say about that? So syntax shorthand system nullable. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The system not nullable, for example. Wait, what? Underlying cannot be a type or reference type or invalid type. Yeah, okay. An int, we really don't know if it exists. Oh, that's great. Alright, class types. Oh, so it could have enums, okay. Arrays, delegates could be nullable. Oh, so exceptions, really? A special meaning, okay. Oh, I see, okay. So let's see, nullable is of a type. Oh, it's of nullable type, so you can check if it's nullable. Okay. So it's compatible with int, okay. Int instance is compatible, okay. Okay. That's interesting. So what else can we do with these? We can check if it has a value, okay. Get value or default, okay. And we can just check has value. Okay, that's interesting to know. Okay, so I think I'm calling this right. I think I have this right, okay. And so all we need to do here is set details. We need to say ship.getDetails, get detail. Did I call it something else? Or get stats, not get details, get stats. For each, create stat. Okay. And oh yeah, whenever we're going to set details, we want to clear stats first. Yeah, there we go. So now the ship component just needs to return the correct stats. So this should be, this needs to return, for now this is just going to return a literal list. This will be a new list of stat information. Nope, stat information. Then we can just have a literal here. I really miss list literals. Java doesn't have them, and I miss them so much. It's so terrible that Java doesn't have them. So the stat here is going to be equal to, we're going to have to set the, we have to create these in game constants. This is going to have to be renamed to resource. Sure, we'll just call this resource. So let's res, resource materials. And this will be control res tech, technology. Then we can create a stat definition. This will be stat hull. We're going to load a stat definition called hull. Yeah, there we go. Duplicate this like 4 times. And we'll call this damage. And we'll call this speed and range, just for testing out some values. Damage. speed and range. Okay. And we've already created those, so all we need to do is in the ship component, we just need to return game constants dot instance dot stat hull. The amount we'll say is, I don't know, 100. We'll have to look this up, or we'll have to create a thing to reference this later. Maximum is going to be equal to, I don't know, 100. Yeah. We'll dynamically generate these a bit later, but now they're just going to be literals. And these are not going to have maxima. So this is the stat speed. I don't know, speed will be 3. Doesn't have any meaning yet. And this will be stat. The damage will be 15. And then the range will be like 7 or something. Again, they don't have any meaning. But yeah, this should populate everything correctly in the ship details. If I linked everything correctly, which I'm pretty sure I did. Oh yeah, it's not resources, it's stats. Whoops. Yeah, it's plural. Normally I don't make the resource folder stuff plural, but for this I have. Okay. So this needs to just reference the stat holder and then the stat counter prefab, which is in prefab's UI. So this is the stat counter prefab here. Okay. And now we set this to be inactive, and we set this to be, whoops, nope. We set this to be inactive. Now, I think I did that right. So if I click on a ship, nothing happens because we did not call it in the HUD, right? That's where I messed up. It's in, I think, HUD details. Also, yeah. The HUD, the details panel component. Here it is in ship component. Yeah, right. So this is the ship details. No, it should be ship details. Yeah, ship details dot set details should be for the ship. Okay, that's what I forgot to call. And we don't need the Inkscape stuff. All right. So did I do that right? I did that right. Hooray! Very happy that that worked. Yeah, and if we uncheck that, cool. Look at the planet, we get the default stuff there. Yep, this all still works. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. Surprised that that just worked on the first try. Well, second try, but close enough. So yeah, eventually we're going to be able to make like little tooltips and stuff for these, and it'll be much easier that we can reference that single copy from the game constants. I really love scriptable objects in Unity. I love scriptable objects in Unity the same way that I like enums and streams and maps in Java. It's just like the entire program is just streams and maps. It's just fine. But yeah, all right. So I need to think about what I want to work on next, so I'm going to take a short break, and I will see you guys in a minute. Alright, and I am back. So, I have decided what I want to do. I want to continue on with. Whoops, my hair is messed up. Why is it so messed up? Ugh, there we go. Ugh. Alright, yes, and the color balance is correct, and yes, I am no longer muted. Good. I always get paranoid about that. So, yeah, the next thing I want to continue on working with is the planet UI. It's going to have some tabs. That's going to be interesting to work with. I'm sure there are like libraries for Unity, but we're not going to use one of those because I've never had a lot of luck with the UI libraries for Unity. Not for Unity, but like the asset store stuff. Never really had a lot of luck with some of those. Some of them seem to be good, and I'm sure there are good ones, but I've just never seen them. So, yeah. I think for this, I'm pretty sure for this, we can use, let's say, first thing I want to do is I want to create like a horizontal layout group up top, and that's going to be our tabs. And then below, there's going to be like a content area. So I think the height is going to be like 50. And we're going to anchor this to the top, and we're going to set the pivot to be, nope, not that. Set the pivot to be 1 so that it anchors to the top like that. We're going to set the background to be a solid thing, and we actually want this to be 40. And then I think we want a horizontal layout group, and we want to control the child's size for the width, and we want to force the child to expand to the width. So that way what should happen is the tabs should all have equal width, I believe. I believe that's how that works. And we want this to be the, not upper center, the middle center. No, not middle center. I want this to be the, no, actually middle left is where we want this to anchor. And now if I create children inside of this, let's say a UI, let's say panel, it should expand to have full width. We're going to make this a slightly darker gray. We'll say that the height is 40. Actually, I think we just want to control the child height as well. And force the child to expand height. Yes. All right. Call this a tab. And then we will create a... No, we won't create. We will steal. Steal an auth description. We will steal a label from somewhere. Oh, this was the last thing that had a label. Okay. So from here we will steal the amount. I'm going to put this in here. We'll put this in here. And the text will expand to fill the tab itself. So now if I duplicate this, yeah, we should get multiple tabs, but this is not centered. Now it is. Let's say, I don't know, tab 1. We want the UI text to be maybe 20 as the scale. And I think if we duplicate this 3 times, yep, okay. And so now we have our tabs, and the way that it's going to work is 2 of them are going to be, I guess, lighter color whenever they're not selected, like such. So yeah, they'll be unselected. I guess we could have a divider. Well, not a divider, we could have like spacing. Sure, we'll have spacing. Spacing 4, spacing 5. This doesn't need to have a thing. Spacing 3. It needs to be really tiny. I think that's fine. And then the actual content, so we will duplicate, no, we won't duplicate. We will create a panel. And I think the top of this needs to be down by 50. Nope, down by 40. And then we will do this. And then the background color of this tab, we will copy. Whoops. We will copy. And we'll paste this here so that we know which tab has been selected. And I don't know if it's worth... Now, how does that look? That looks fine. It would look gray, but it looks fine. So yeah, we're gonna have to have some kind of like tab controller component or something. That shouldn't be too bad. And I think if we disable these, yeah, if we disable tabs, they go away. So we will use a template, and this will be the, oh no, this isn't the template. This, no wait, that's the tab. And what is this? This is the, wait a minute, I'm getting confused. Oh yeah, this is the tab holder. I'll just call this tabs. This is the template. Yeah, there we go. And then we will have the name, and we'll call this a tab. Yep. I think that's saved? Yeah, that's saved. Okay. So this will be the content. Okay. So the first thing I want to work on is getting the tabs to get populated and to have them be selectable. So for that, we're going to need in UI, or sorry, in UI, we're just going to need sort of a, I don't know what we'd call it. I'm not going to worry about it. We'll just copy this and paste it. Call this a tab controller component. Controller component. We will grab that, create that. So now what we want to do is we want to have probably a list of game objects, and what we'll do is we will create a tab. We'll duplicate the template for each game object. So we're going to have a game object here. This is going to be the template. And then we're going to have a public list of game objects. We need using system.collections.generic to get a list. This will be a list of game objects, and this will be, I guess, tabs. And so what these will be is these will actually be the content, but we'll create a copy of the template for each, I guess we'll say content panes. Sure, that'll work. Maybe contents. That'll work. So yeah, for each content panel that we have, we're going to create a copy of the template. So for that, we're going to have a protected list of game objects. These will be the tabs. This will be a new list, because we know it's always going to have, or it's always going to be empty. Well, not always empty, but like, we want it to start empty. And so on private void awake, what we want to do is we want to say contents, and we want to import system.link. Because as you know, I love link. So we want to say contents, and then for each content, I guess for each, we can create a public void create tab. This will be the string name of that tab, and then game object contents. And actually, we don't want this. We want this to be a dictionary of game object to content. Or do we? No, actually, I think what we want. Actually, we don't even need this. What am I doing? Yeah, we don't even need that. So we can do some cool things. So for each, we will do say content to create tab. We will use content.name, and then we will use content. Alright, so this will run the create tab logic for each content. In create tab, what we want to do is we want to say var tab is equal to instantiate the template, and we want to have a public we want to have a rect transform tab holder. Want to have the tab holder as the parent, so this will create it inside the thing that has the layout or the horizontal layout. We'll say tab.localscale. Say tab.local or .transform.localscale is equal to vector3.1. This will just fix the scaling if it gets screwed up. We will say var, create a label, or we'll find the name of the tab. Say label equals tab dot, is it get component in children? Yeah, get component in children. Sure, get component in children of type TMP text. So this will get us the TMP text in the children. We're going to say label.text is going to be equal to the name. And then we will say, I think we need to have a button, because we want to know when the tab is clicked. So what we will do is we will have, I think we can put a button component on this. Yeah, and I don't know if we want, actually I guess it's fine. Just use the template, the image, yeah, color temp, or color tinting, yep, that's perfect. So we can now say the var button is equal to tab dot get component in children, and we can say we want a button, nope, not a tab button, a button. This will be using, we need to use unityengine.ui. Oh, I guess for each doesn't come from link. I thought it did. Okay, that's good to know. And now what we want to do is we want to say, we basically want to assign the on click of the button. So for those of you who don't know, you can actually assign this through the Unity, or through C#. You don't have to use the Unity editor. And in our case, we don't want to use the Unity editor because we don't know until runtime what tabs we're going to have. I mean, technically we do, we know at compile time, but I'm not going to worry about that. It's kind of dumb to do it that way. So what we'll say is we'll say button dot, I believe it's on click. So this is a, I think this is a delegate actually. Or no, it's a click event. Okay. What we can say is button dot on click. We can say add listener. And so now, what we can say is we can create a listener. We can create a method. So this method is going to show a particular tab, or show the content, a particular content, and hide the rest. So we can say show content. Say public void show content. We need to give it a game object to know which content we want to show. Then we can say public game object. I mean, I guess it doesn't need to be public. It can be protected. Protected game object content, or showing content, like the content that we are currently showing, is going to be equal to that. So what we'll say is showing content dot. Actually, oh yeah, you can't do null propagation with that. So say if showing content. So if we have content that we're showing, we want to do, whoops. If we have content that we're showing, we want to do showing content dot set active false. And then otherwise, or after that, we want to do showing content equals content. Then we say showing content dot set active true. I know I mistyped that. I need to fix it. Okay, cool. There we go. So this will guarantee that we're only showing one thing at a time. And so whenever we add the listener to the button, what we want to do is we just want to have an empty on click, because I don't think anything happens. I don't think you get any information from the button itself, but that's fine. So we can do button.addListener. And what we want to do is we want to say show content, and we want to show the content that is the content that we're working on. And it doesn't like that because, no, actually, because why? Content does not, oh, contents, right. It needs to be content. Yeah, there we go. And so what this will do is this will dynamically create a tab for every single content. By the way, if you try to do this, with a for loop, you might run into some issues with closures. That's why I tend to enjoy, or I tend to like using the for each method as opposed to the for each like construct, because it does run into some issues with closures, especially when you're creating lambdas like this. It can cause like some headaches. But yeah, so I believe this will work. Let's test it out. Okay, so if I create our, where is it going to be? So that holds the tabs. This is going to be the, no wait, this holds the tabs, so this is going to be the tab controller component. The tab holder is going to be ourselves. The template is going to be that. I think we actually need to set the tab to active. Tab.setActive true. Because I think otherwise it's going to be created inactive, and we don't want that. So yeah, we have our template and then our content here. What we will do is we will duplicate this, and we will set, or sorry, we'll set this to be here. Yeah, now we will have, what were the 3 things for the planet? Or yeah, for the planet we had ships, we had buildings, and we had upgrades. So we'll say ships, and we will remove that. Then we will say buildings, and then we will say upgrades. Cool. And so now if we go into tabs here, whoops, we need to lock this. Select this, and then put it in there. What we should end up is we should end up with 3 tabs. Assuming I did all of that correctly. So let's put this to invisible. Actually, all of these need to start disabled. Okay. And you need to start disabled, and you need to start disabled. Whoops, nope. Wait. Oh, I blocked it, right. You need to start disabled, you need to start disabled, and you need to start enabled. Alright. So now, whenever we select a planet, we should get 3 tabs. So we get 3 tabs, cool, whoop. Alright, we have the problem of ray casting from the camera. We need to fix that. But I think we are getting the highlighting from each button. So yeah, we'll need to fix the ray casting thing. And it's a simple fix. Oh god, where is it? It's in the... it is in the selection control component, right. So, I believe what we need to do is, it's something like... Oh god, what is it? Is it... Oh, how do you do that? There's a thing. Unity check if mouse over UI. That's how you do it. There's a way to do it. God, what is it? Sure, it is event systems dot is pointer over is pointer over is pointer over. Okay, this is very useless. Unity check mouse over UI. UI element. It gave the reference, but it didn't seem to actually be there. Let me see if I can find it faster than this loads. So it seemed to be event system. Okay, no. Event system dot is pointer over game object. This and its implementation. The name is a little misleading, but it can be changing some behavior. Event data. Event system dot current. Event system dot current dot raycast all. Event system dot current selected. Event system dot is our game object will fail when the cursor moves off a control element even while it's still controlling. When clicking and dragging a slider, if you move off of it, That should be fine. One second. All right. So I think what we need is using Unity engine.ui. .ui? Yes. So I think it is if input.getMouse button down and not, I think it's event system. Event system, no. Wait. Where is event system? Is it unity.ui or is it unity.events systems? Yeah. .event system.current .is pointer over game object. Is that how it works? And if it's not over a game object, basically. And then with handle selection, and that's handle orders. See, I think handle selection is the only place we need to do this. Let's try that. I think that's right. I know it was something like that that I had to do before. So if we click here, yeah, all right. So yeah, now clicking on, yeah, if we click while we're on the UI, nothing happens, so that's good. All right. So now we can click on the tabs. The only problem is the current tab doesn't highlight. That's fine. That's what we can do. We can go into our tab controller, and we can set the color to be like the highlighted color, or we can create a color to be the highlight color, and then we can have a protected color, which is the default color. And so we can read the default color from the template. So this is going to be template dot. Actually, it should be fine to just read it from the top, right? Get. So we're going to get component. It's going to be a. It's not a panel. It's a sprite renderer. Is it a sprite renderer? No, it's not a sprite renderer. It's a. Oh, what is it? What is it called? It is an image. Okay, yeah, it's just an image. Whoops, that's not right. Component will get an image. And I think we can just get image.color. Yeah. So this will get the default color. And then when we show content, what we want to do is we want to have an image background. So whenever we show the content, we just do tab.getComponent image. And we will actually say var background equals that, just because I don't like having the get component stuff inside of a method call like that. It doesn't cause any issues. I just don't like it. So showing content, say protected image. What are we going to call this? The showing tab? Sure, that'll be the showing tab, sure. I'm going to say the showing tab is equal to the background. Then we're going to say showing tab dot color is going to be equal to the default color. So yeah, so for show content, we get the content of what we want to show, and then the image for whatever tab we're clicking on. If we're currently showing something, then we want to say, hey, show, or set the currently active content to be invisible, and then we want to set the color of the currently active tab to be the default color. Then we want to set the background, or the showing tab equals to the background. And then we want to say showing tab dot color is equal to the selected color. Or what is it, highlighted color? Sure, highlighted color. Yeah. Yeah, that way we recolor the tab to whichever one is highlighted, so that whichever one is highlighted is recolored. And I want to change this to be this. Come on. Load up Unity. There we go. So for the highlight color, this is going to have some alpha to it. Actually, what we want to do is I want to copy this and we want to copy this. Actually, what is the color here? I want to recolor this one. This one needs to be lighter. Yeah, like that. And then we want the highlighted one to be the same color as whatever this is. So paste that there. All right. Now that should recolor the highlighted one, and then the other two should be darker, or lighter, is what it should be. Nope, they're all recolored. So this doesn't select the default. Okay, that's why. So what we can do is we can say, on awake, we want to, what is it? Show content for contents of 0, or contents of 0. And then we want to show content for not template, tab holder, tab holder dot get child at 0 dot get component image. So basically this should show the first tab. This should set the content equal to the first tab, or select the first tab. That's the word I'm trying to say. And it does not. Why? Why did that not work? I'm confused. No, I'm actually confused. Why? So the tab holder that get child at 0 should get the child at 0 and then get the component index. So why did that not highlight? Let us go back into Unity and see if that's actually getting called. So content, let's create a label here. This is ships. Call this a label. A label. So this should be ships. And we'll just center that here. 0, 0, 0, 0. That's fine. Control C, Control V, and then Control V into here. This will be buildings, and this will be the label. Yep. And then this will be upgrades. Upgrades. All right. And actually, these should all be 0, 0, 0. Okay. So that should highlight the first one, and that should automatically highlight the... That shows all of them. Oh, they're all set active. Oh, wait. Okay, they all need to start as inactive. So that's one issue. Okay, so this one does have ships, but it's not recoloring the background of the tab. I mean, this does work, but why doesn't that background recolor automatically? That's weird. Why does that not happen? Alright, so this is the background. Showing tabs equals background, background.color equals highlight color. Okay. But this is the tab holder.getChild of 0 because that's getting the template. That's the problem. So actually at index 1, that is the highlight. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Very happy with that. And it does remember, it oddly has the effect of remembering which tab you select. That's cool. Okay. So yeah, now we have a basic selection there. All right. I'll take that. So now on the ships tab, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to create new ships. And I think this is the last thing we'll probably do today. So for the planet component, this is the tab controller. Yeah, for the planet component, what we want to do is we want to stop creating ships here. We don't want to have any of that. What we want is in the details, we want to create a button to spawn a ship. And later on, what that button will do is it will check that you actually have the resources to do that. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. In the details panel, we're going to go here, here, and we're going to rescale like that. The details folder, we don't want to check, or no, we do want to check the planet details. And the content is going to be on the ship's content. And so here, we're going to delete this. No, not duplicate it. We're going to delete it. And we're going to create a button. So UI button, there we go. I should really create the TMP one. Yeah, leave the TMP button. And actually that can just be centered. And that will have sort of the flat background that we were going for. So, oh no, that's not the target graphic. That's the target graphic, there we go. Sort of the flat background there, and then we will call this plus or new ship. Yeah, new ship. Okay. And so this should be I think under the planet details we're going to have a component for that. So under the HUD, under the details, the planet details component, and then we have the planet, I guess planet details here, planet details, and we'll call this the, create a new item, a C# model behavior, call this the ship details tab. Ship details tab component, because I like knowing what is a component and what isn't. So under this, we will just have a public void on click spawn ship. And we also have a public void set planet, because we need to know which planet we're spawning the ship from. This will be the planet component planet. Then we have a protected planet component planet underscore planet, because that's the appropriate naming convention. Say planet equals planet. Cool. And then we will say planet dot spawn underscore planet dot spawn ship. There we go. So now in the planet details component, we'll have a public void set details for the planet component planet. Then we'll have a public, we're going to have a reference to all the tabs here. So we have a ship details, or whoops. Is this ship details? No, this is the ship tab. The ship tab, not the ship tab. Oh yeah, ship tab component under there. There we go. Yeah. Have the ship tab component. I have ship tab. And so what we will do is say ship tab dot set planet to be planet. Cool. And then I think we will have the public planet. No, we have the tab controller component. Tab controller. Do we need to worry about this? No, we don't. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. Maybe we'll have like a reset for it. Nah, I won't worry about it. It'll be fine. So yeah, the ship component and everything. Okay. So in ships, what we need is we need a ship tab component. And here on the button, we need to reference that ship tab component. And so we will say ship tab component dot on click spawn ship. Okay, and then this can be set to be invisible. In the planet details, we will have the ship tab. Create a reference to the ship tab here. And then I believe we need to go into the HUD and we need to call set details. But I think beyond that, oh no, the details holder can be active. It's this that needs to be inactive. Okay. So now in the planet details, no, in the HUD, no, the details panel controller. We need to say show details for planet. We need to say planet details, details dot set details for the planet. And now, whatever planet we select, we should be able to spawn a ship from that planet. Assuming I did all of that correctly. So, if we click the spawn ship button, it should create a ship at the vague location of this planet, which it does. Creates a bunch of them, and if we select this one, this is planet B now, it should create them from this location. And we can grab those and we can move them and do all sorts of cool stuff with them. Okay, that's amazing. I love that. Alright then. So, I am going to call it here. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back. We will be back in an hour or so. So at 2 p.m. Is it 2 p.m.? Yeah, it's 2 p.m. Central. We will be playing some more Valheim. I think last time we were doing the sea serpent stuff. We didn't actually manage to find a sea serpent, unfortunately. Apparently they take like 10 minutes or something to spawn, and I don't want to hang out for 10 minutes. I think we are getting close to upgrading the forge and stuff like that, so we're going to be doing that. So yeah, join us for Valheim at 2 p.m. If you don't want to watch me play games, that's perfectly understandable. But we will be returning to this game development stuff tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. Or no, tomorrow's Saturday, we won't be doing that. It'll be either Sunday or Monday, 11 a.m. Central. But yeah, tune in for that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in a bit.